Another common thing for clients to ask you is, can you remove this from the photo? That's always somebody has a problem with something in the photo, and they want you to be this magical wizard that removes all the things that they don't like from a photograph. And in fact, you can do that almost 9 times out of 10, but you just have to know how to do it properly so that it looks natural and not faked. So in this movie, what I'm going to do is show you a couple of ways that you can start to remove objects from a photograph that the client might tell you to get rid of. So here we have a picture of James. He's serving pizza. And the client has come to us and they've said, we really like this photo. We'd love to use it in our menu, but we want the lights at the top in the ceiling to go away. Now, the one in the corner is not going to be so much of a problem. These big ones right here that take up a big portion and are right next to his hat, that might be a different story. Let's start with the easy one in the top right corner first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a copy of this layer. Why am I creating a copy of this layer? So that I can work non-destructively. That is what we do each and every time. Make sure that we have a back door to get back to where we came from. So in order to create a copy of this layer, just press Command on the Mac, Control on the PC, and the letter J. That's going to create a copy of it. It's going to be called Layer 1, but I'm going to double-click and rename this Clone. Why? Because we're going to clone out a lot of the stuff up here. And we're going to do that a couple of different ways. First way, grab your lasso tool. Make a selection, roughly, of the corner piece up here. Something like that. Once you have that selection made, I want you to go up to the Edit menu and choose Fill. Inside of the Fill menu, this is going to probably say foreground color when you first get in there. Change that to Content Aware. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to attempt to look around the thing that you have selected. It's going to look for things like color and texture, and it's going to attempt to fill it in as best it can with what it thinks should be there if this object were removed. So when I hit OK, we don't have a light there anymore. I can press Command or Control D, and there you go. I can zoom in on this thing, and you are not going to be able to tell where that light was. Now, can we pull off the same thing with these big lights? Maybe, but I don't know. This time, I'm going to switch to the polygonal lasso tool. And why am I doing that? Because I have nice straight lines that I can follow. So I'm just going to go here, click, 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 and I'm just going right on the outside, just like that. And then I'll complete my selection by coming back around. See that little circle? That indicates that I'm going to complete this selection. So once I have that completed, everything is selected. I actually missed a little piece right here on the edge, so here's what I'm going to do. Hold down the Shift key, click, click, and just put that back in the selection. There we go. Okay, so now I have all that selected. Let's try to fill it. So Edit, Fill, Content Aware. It does pretty good. Pretty good. But not all the way. Press Command or Control D, and you can kind of see there's some seams in here. So how do we get rid of those? Very easy. Just go back to the lasso tool, make a selection around the seam or the area you have a problem with, then press Shift Delete or Shift Backspace, use Content Aware again, and it should be able to start filtering out these little places. Right up here, we've got a little bit of an area. So let's do that. There we go. And then just kind of zoom back out. The only place I really have a problem with is right here. And so what I want to do is just make a bigger selection here. See if I can't get rid of that little seam. There we go. A little bit better. But for the most part, I've done my best to remove that piece from the ceiling. You could also use many different methods to do this. The patch tool, clone stamp tool, and all that kind of stuff. But this is probably the easiest and most effective way to at least get it started. Now, that being said, we've got a little bit more of a challenge here, because in this one, we have something that we need to get rid of that is in the most problematic area possible. And that's this guy over here on the side who is right against the edge of this window and also inside of glass. So that makes it really tough to get rid of. Let me show you what it looks like if I try the Content Aware fill trick. So let's go here. I'll just make a general selection of what I want removed. And again, you don't have to be precise with this. Once I do that, Edit, Fill, Content Aware. Ouch. Not good. So let's do undo by going to Edit, Undo, or you can hit Option Command on the Mac, Control Alt and Z on the keyboard, and then I'll press Command and Control D. I want to make sure I create a copy of this layer, and we'll just call this No Photo Bomber. And once we have that, it's time to figure out how to remove this guy. Well, the key here is going to be to match what's in the background as close as we can. And the easiest way to do that is to work section by section. So here's what I'm going to do. First things first, I'm going to make a selection inside of the area that has the problem. So I'm going to do the lasso tool just like so. It's going to go all the way to that edge. It's going to come all the way up here, all the way down here. And I'm going to follow the contour of this building, essentially. There we go. Okay. So now we have basically a boundary to work with, right? Now we'll come over here and we'll grab the Clone Stamp tool. Clone Stamp tool basically allows you to sample an area and then paint using that content. So I'm going to sample just in front here by holding down the Option key on the Mac, the Alt key on the PC, and clicking with my mouse. That signifies that I want to copy that area. Then I come over here and I can start to kind of paint out this guy's arm like that. See how easy that is? Let's zoom in here so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Every once in a while, I want to switch up the part where I sampled. That way, I don't get stuck with the same looking, like repeating pattern of this guy. This is a building in the background here, so we want to make sure that it's easy to just blend it right into the background. So again, I'm using the Option or Alt key to resample every so often just to vary up the texture a little bit. Because like I said, it's a building. It doesn't have to have a whole lot of detail in it because it is just an insignificant background element. But it's allowing us, if I zoom out here, to really get rid of this guy pretty quickly. Now, his body and his neck are going to be the easiest parts to get rid of, as you can see. But let me step back here. I actually need to deselect a small area because there's this little edge right here I need to take care of. So let's grab the lasso tool again. This time, hold down the Option key while I'm doing this. Click. Just go straight down, right along the edge. And then complete my selection. There we go. So again, you're holding down the Option key when you do that, or the Alt key on the PC. So now let's go back, grab the Stamp tool again. This time, just go right up to the edge. And you can brush right up to that edge because you're not going to be able to go outside of it. That's what the selection is for. The selection is holding you in place. All right, now, this is where it gets tricky, right up here around the face. Why? Because I'm going to need to shift from a soft edge brush to a hard edge brush because there's a definitive line that goes right across there, right? So switching to the hardness of 100%. Making sure that I have this gray area selected, and then using the brush to just go right along where the edge of the building would be. Something like that. There we go. Very hard edged. Now I can use this to just kind of sample out. Anything else, you want to move the hardness back down, just like that. There we go. And we'll finish painting all this out right down here. There we go. Very good. Now, him right here, this can easily be fixed just by sampling right out here in this blue. And I'm going to go right up against that edge there. So what I need is a hard edge brush. Let's do this. Hardness. Go back, sample that blue. And then right here, just go right along where I did before. There we go. Now switch back to the soft edge. And continue brushing out using that same blue, just like so. Now I'm going to deselect everything because as you can see, we've got some hard lines here. Need to kind of blur that out just a little bit. And if I start to go outside of it a little bit, it might run into that edge, but that's okay. Here we go. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to use the clone stamp one more time. And I'm going to brush back in this little reflection area. There we go. And again, it does not have to be perfect at all. This is an insignificant detail in the grand scheme of things, but something we needed to get rid of. So there we go. There's the before and after for that guy. But it does a whole lot for it, because even though you might not notice it, it's still a big difference to the client because they didn't want that guy there in the first place. You could, of course, spend a lot more time on this, but for the most part, I think we've gotten exactly what we need out of this. So hopefully now you have a better understanding of what it's like to remove certain items from your documents. And then once you're finished with this, don't forget, save these as Photoshop documents so you can easily get back to them later and use them in your compositions.